What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'll be taking a look at the entry list for the 2025 Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start by talking about the one car for Trackhouse Racing. This one's going to be driven by Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain is coming off of having not the best performance this past weekend at Circuit Americas as he caused some incidents and finished in 12th position. We are now coming to a track though where he's been pretty good in the past as he won the final race of 2023 at Phoenix. Chastain's been really good here in the past. I think he does have a chance and opportunity as I do think he'll have some really good pace and speed to maybe pick up that first win of 2025. Up next up with the 2 car for Team Penske. This one's going to be driven by Austin Cindric. Now, Austin Cindric has won here in the past of the NASCAR Xfinity Series back in 2020 when he, of course, won the championship. But he hasn't been as good at this track since getting to the Cup Series in 2022. He's looking to turn that around as his teammates Joe Logano, Ryan Blaney have shown really good speed at this track in the past. He'll be looking to run really well after a disastrous run this past weekend at COTA. Up next up with the 3 car for Richard Childress Racing. This one's going to be driven by Austin Dillon. Now, Austin Dillon has struggled to start the 2025 season and hasn't really had a lot of great performances. And we're going to a track where historically RCR has really struggled, especially in recent years. He's looking to turn around this weekend and is looking for a really good run with Richard Childress Racing at Phoenix. We'll see what he can do this weekend with the RCR equipment this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next up with the 4 car for Front Row Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Noah Gragson. Noah Gragson is coming off of having a really good run at Circuit Americas as he finished inside the top 10 and showed some really impressive speed at Circuit of the Americas. And we're going to a track where Noah Gragson's actually been pretty good, especially in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He'll be looking for his first career NASCAR Cup Series win this weekend. I don't know if he'll have the speed to do that, but I think Noah Gragson could have some decent speed this weekend at Phoenix. Up next up with the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's often not the best start in 2025 as he had some major issues at Circuit of the Americas and has only had 1 top 5 and 1 top 10 to start 2025. But he's going to a track where he's been alright, but not been that great, even though he has won here a couple times in the past, or once in the past. He's looking for a really good run this weekend as Kyle Larson will be looking to pick up his first win of 2025 this weekend at Phoenix. Up next up with the 6 car for RFK Racing. This one's going to be driven by Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is coming off finishing inside the top 15 this past weekend at Circuit Americas, one of his better road course performances we've seen in the next-gen era. And we're going to a track where Brad actually showed some really good speed in the spring race last year, where I believe he finished inside of the top 5. He'll look to continue turning the season around and turn the corner as Brad looks to pick up a really good finish this weekend with RFK at Phoenix. Up next up with the 7 car for Spire Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Justin Haley. Now, despite the fact that Justin Haley finished around 18th or 19th at the end of the day, Haley shows some really good speed at Circuit of the Americas, and we're going to a track where Rodney Childress' crew chief has had quite a bit of success. Plus, Spire Motorsports is looking to continue to grow as an organization, and he'll be looking to try to run really good at a track where he hasn't been amazing in the past, but he looks to run really good this weekend at Phoenix. Up next up with the 8 car for Richard Childress Racing. This one's going to be driven by Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is coming off having probably his best next-gen performance he's had since probably winning the race at Gateway in 2023 this past weekend at COTA. Kyle Busch led the most laps and dominated the race. Now, we're going to track, at least in the next-gen era, where he's unfortunately struggled quite a bit, but maybe RCR will turn around the corner and run really well. We'll see what Kyle Busch can do as he looks to get his first win in almost 2 years at this point, dating back to Gateway. He looks to run really well this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next up with the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott had a very resilient performance at COTA as he finished inside of the top 5. And Chase has shown some really good speed to start the 2025 season. And we're going to track where Chase has actually had decent success as he did win at the track back in 2020 when he won the Cup Series title. He's looking for his first points-paying Cup win. Of course, he won the Clash a few weeks ago. He looks to pick up that first points-paying win since Texas of last year. We'll see what he can do this weekend. Up next up, the 10 car for Kaulig Racing. This one once going to be driven by Ty Dillon. Now, Ty Dillon is going to a track where Kaulig Racing has really struggled. Last year, Ty Dillon almost ran this car, and he just didn't do good at this car last year, and I'm not expecting much from Ty Dillon going into this weekend because the Kaulig cars just have struggled very much at this track in recent years. We'll see if they prove me wrong, but I'm not expecting much from Ty Dillon this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next up, the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This one's going to be driven by Denny Hamlin. Now, Denny Hamlin's coming off of having a knockout performance at Circuit of the Americas as he finished outside of the top 20 this weekend and almost cost Kyle Busch a chance to pick up the win. Denny is looking for a turnaround weekend at a track where he's been all right in the past, but has not been absolutely amazing, even though he has won, I think, a couple times at this track in the past. He's looking for his first win since Dover in 2024. He'll be looking to get it done. We'll see what Hamlin can do this weekend. Up next, how about the 12 car for Team Penske? This one's going to be driven by Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's been really good at Phoenix. He's got the best average finish of anybody in the field, and Ryan Blaney, of course, has won here when he won the championship in 2023. He's not won races in the spring race, but I think that Ryan Blaney will definitely have a really good chance and opportunity to be up front, and he'll be looking to pick up his first points-paying victory of 2025 this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next up, the 16 car for Kaulig Racing. This one's going to be driven by AJ Allmendinger. After a great run at COTA, he fell off at the end after he started losing a tire at the end of the race. And Allmendinger, like I mentioned with Ty Dillon, has not been really good at Phoenix in the past. He's looking to turn around this weekend and run really well, but I'm not expecting much from Allmendinger. I think it's going to be a little bit of struggle from the 16 team this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next up, the 17 car for RFK Racing. This one's going to be driven by Chris Buescher. Now, Chris Buescher has been decent at this track in the past, and he did have a good run in the spring last year and almost won the championship race in 2023. He'll be looking to pick up his first win since Watkins Glen last year at the end of the season. We'll see what Chris Buescher can do as RFK has shown some pretty solid speed to start the 2025 year. It looks to run really good. Up next up, the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This one's going to be driven by Chase Briscoe. Now, Chase Briscoe does have a pretty big appeal that is coming up later this week and will probably be determined by the time you're watching this. He could have his points back, but we're not sure at this point. But we're going to a track where Chase Briscoe has been very good and shown some really great pace and some really strong speed. And I think Briscoe could be a favorite to win just because of how good he's been at this track. He'll look to pick up his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend. He'll be looking to get his second ever Cup Series win as he did win at this track in 2022. We'll see what Chase Briscoe can do this weekend. Up next, how about the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This one's going to be driven by Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell's off to a fantastic start in 2025 as he's won the last two straight races at Atlanta in Circuit of the Americas. And I think he's a favorite going into this week, and considering he's the defending winner of the spring race. We've not seen someone win 3 in a row in the next-gen era in a row races, but I think that there's a good chance Christopher Bell could get it done. The 20 car has been off to a fantastic start, and Bell will be looking to pick up his 12th career NASCAR Cup Series victory this weekend at Phoenix. Up next up, the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. This one's going to be driven by Josh Berry. After a great run in Atlanta a couple weekends ago, he did not have a good run at Circuit of the Americas. And the Wood Brothers are kind of struggling a little bit to start 2025. And Josh Berry's been all right at Phoenix as he had a lot of help with Rodney Childers last year, but I'm not sure how the Wood Brothers are going to do, even though they've had some decent pace and speed in the past. He'll look to run really good this weekend and look to continue a decent start, but not the best start to 2025. Up next up with the 22 car for Team Penske. This one's going to be driven by Joey Logano. Now, Joey Logano's coming off of having a knockout performance at Circuit of the Americas, but we are going to a track where Logano's been very successful at, as he won the spring race in 2020 and has won 2 of the championship races at this track in 2022 and 2024. Logano will be one of the favorites, I think, going into the weekend, as Logano will be looking to pick up his first points-paying victory of 2025 this weekend at Phoenix. Up next up with the 23 car for 23XI Racing. This one's going to be driven by Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is off to a pretty solid start in 2025, and yes, he only has one top 10 to start the year, but he finished in the top 20 road course and won a stage and got a lot of stage points as well, putting him currently in the playoffs at this moment. Bubba's looking for a really good run. He's been solid at Phoenix in the past, so he'll be looking to pick up his first points-paying win in almost 3 years at this point, as I think he has a chance and opportunity to do that for sure. Up next up with the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by William Byron. Now, William Byron has 1 year before, as he won the spring race in 2023 after Kyle Larson dominated the second half of the event. Byron's off to a great start this year. Won the Daytona 500 and ran really well at Atlanta before getting crashed and finishing in second at Circuit of the Americas. He looks to continue a really strong start to 2025 by picking up his second win of 2025 this weekend at Phoenix Raceway with the 2014. Up next, up with the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Todd Gillen. Todd Gillen's coming off finishing in the top 10 this past weekend at Circuit Americas, and we're going to a track where Todd Gillen has honestly been pretty decent in the past. He'll be looking to pick up his first Cup win this weekend. I think he's got a decent chance and opportunity. 34 cars qualified very well at this track in the past. Todd Gillen looks to get a big win for sure this weekend at Phoenix. Up next, up with the 35 car for 23XI Racing. This will once again be driven by Riley Herbst. Now, Riley Herbst, while he's never won a NASCAR Cup Series race, he's won an Xfinity Series race at this track, the most recent Xfinity Series event where he dominated and led over 170 laps of the event. Riley Herbst will have a chance, in my opinion, to actually do pretty decent. The 23XI Racing cars has shown some good speed here. Riley Herbst will look to have a really solid and a pretty good performance and finish better than 17th because he's had 3 straight races finishing 17th. He looks to finish better than that this weekend at Phoenix. Up next, up a 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Zane Smith. Zane Smith has won this track before, back in 2022, when of course he went on to win the championship. And I think Zane Smith could honestly have a decent run, as he's been pretty good at this track in the past. He'll be looking to pick up a win this weekend and look to really move himself higher up in the points. He looks to run really well and show some good speed for sure this weekend at Phoenix. Up next, up with the 41 car for the Haas factory team. This will once again be driven by Cole Custer. While Cole Custer has not been that good here in the NASCAR Cup Series, he's been really good here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as he won the championship race 2 years ago. And Custer looks to bring that momentum with a good run this weekend. He'll be looking to run really strong, show some really good pace and speed as Cole Custer looks to have a solid run this weekend with the Indy's Frozen Custer machine this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up with the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club. This will once again be driven by John Hunter Nemechek. After 2 really good race start 2025, he did not run very good this past weekend at COTA. He's looking to turn around this weekend where Legacy actually showed some really solid speed in the spring race, but Nemechek has not been that great at the track, not just in Cup, but the Xfinity Series and Truck Series as well. He'll look to run really good this weekend though and give Legacy a solid performance at Phoenix Raceway with the team. Up next, up with the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club. This will once again be driven by Eric Jones. Now, Eric Jones in the spring race last year showed a lot of promise and a lot of potential for the future of Legacy Motor Club at Toyota. It's been downhill ever since, unfortunately. But Eric Jones looks to have a decent run. If they can bring the speed they showed, I could definitely see Eric Jones having a chance and opportunity at that point to maybe get a top 10. We'll see what he can do, and we'll see if Eric Jones can have a good run and turn around a not great start to 2025 for Eric Jones this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up with the 45 car for 23XI Racing. This will once again be driven by Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick had a really strong car in the spring race last year, as he did end up leading a ton of laps, and I think he won a stage in this race as well. He's also coming off a really good run at COTA as he finished in 3rd place. Tyler Reddick, I think, will be a factor to win if Toyotas can bring the same pace and speed they had in the spring last year, which I do think Toyota is going to bring some strong pace and some strong speed for sure this weekend. We'll see what Tyler Reddick can do and see if he can have a really strong, good performance with 23XI Racing this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up with the 47 car for Hayek Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually had a decent performance at Circuit Americas as he actually finished inside of the top 20. And he's looking to continue that momentum with another top 20 run this weekend at Phoenix. I think the cars have shown some decent speed to start 2025. We'll see what Stenhouse can do as he looks to have a good performance with the Hayek Motorsports team this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up with the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This will once again be driven by Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman is coming into this weekend at one of his worst tracks on the NASCAR Cup circuit. That's one of the big reasons why he's running the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Phoenix this weekend as well. Bowman, I think, could have a decent run. He's got a really nice looking paint scheme for the weekend. But Bowman, just ever since that really great run in 2016, hasn't ran that great at this track. But he'll look to turn it around, and he'll be looking to run really good for sure this weekend at Phoenix Raceway with Hendrick Motorsports. Up next, how about the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing? This one's going to be driven by Cody Ware. Cody Ware has really struggled to start 2025 and has just not shown any sort of pace and speed, as he was way far off the pace at the track compared to most of the drivers in the field, even Connor Zilch, who got caught up in an incident. He'll look to turn around this weekend, but I'm not expecting much from the driver of the number 51 car this weekend with the team and organization at Phoenix. Up next, how about the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This one's going to be driven by Ty Gibbs. Now, Ty Gibbs in the Xfinity Series at this track has been very, very good. But on the Cup side of things, he struggled immensely. And the last time he ran here, he crashed like 2 or 3 laps into the event. Just had not shown the speed on the Cup side of things. Has been pretty much a disaster since the end of last year. He'll look to rebound this weekend, but I'm not sure if Ty Gibbs is going to be able to rebound with the Joe Gibbs Racing organization this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, how about the 60 car for RFK Racing? This one's going to be driven by Ryan Preece. Now, Ryan Preece actually, I believe, scored a top 10 in the championship race last year, and Ryan Preece honestly has been decent in Phoenix in the past. It kind of suits his driving style a little bit. He's looking to run really well. Didn't have the best run, unfortunately, at COTA, but he's looking to turn it around this weekend with a good run, as RFK does have a solid track record at this track. He'll look to run really well with the RFK Racing team and show what he can do for sure this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up with the 71 car for Spire Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell's coming off finishing inside the top 15 this past weekend at COTA, but it didn't come out without some controversy, as he unfortunately cost SVG and Allmendinger a shot at winning the race in the middle because they got trapped in the back of the field. McDowell, though, is going to a track where he's been decent, and Spire Motorsports has shown some big promise and potential to start 2025. He looks to continue building about momentum, as he'll be looking to run really solid and really strong with the Spire Motorsports organization this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, up at a 77 car for Spire Motorsports. This one's going to be driven by Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar is off to having a pretty solid start to 2025, as he did finish second in Atlanta and qualified up front at COTA. He did lose some of that momentum after a really good start at COTA, but still able to finish inside the top 20. He's looking to run really well. He's been solid here in the Truck Series in the past and even cost someone a shot at picking up the championship. But I think Hocevar could have a decent shot, as this team has shown some really good pace and speed to start 2025. Let's continue building that momentum going into this weekend at Phoenix Raceway. Up next, I'm at a 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. This will be driven by Katherine Legge, who will make her NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend at Phoenix. She will be the first female driver to make a start in the NASCAR Cup Series since when Danica Patrick drove the number 7 car for, I believe, Tommy Baldwin Racing in 2018 at the Daytona 500. We all thought maybe Hailie Deegan or someone in the lower field like a Kaylee Bryson or Jade Abedissian at some point was going to be that next female driver to make a Cup start, but instead it's Katherine Legge. I'd love to see Katherine Legge do really, really well. She's got a great chance and opportunity, even though Live Fast Motorsports isn't the fastest organization in the world, but it's a solid and good opportunity for Katherine Legge for sure this weekend at Phoenix. Up next, up at the 88 car for Trackhouse Racing. This will once again be driven by Shane Van Gisbergen. Now, Shane Van Gisbergen, after dominating the early portion of the race at COTA, faded back, had terrible restarts, and finished in 6th position. He's going to a track where he's actually been pretty decent in the Xfinity Series, as he finished in the top 10, finishing 6th in the spring race, and finishing, I believe, around 11th or 12th in the second race. I think SVG could have a solid run if the Trackhouse cars can bring the pace and speed. We'll see what SVG can do with the Trackhouse organization this weekend at Phoenix. And finally, let's talk about the Driver 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. This will once again be driven by Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez had a disastrous weekend at COTA after a very promising start qualifying in the top 5 and running up front early in the event. He needs to start turning the season around quickly because his future is definitely in question currently at the moment with Trackhouse Racing. A good run this weekend at Phoenix could really change the tune at this point, but he's been off to not the best start after 2 straight races crashing out. He needs to turn around, especially after crashing his teammate. He really needs to turn around and run really good this weekend when we head to Phoenix Raceway with the Trackhouse team. So, that is going to be for the interest for the 2025 Shriners Children 500 at Phoenix Raceway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel with notifications on so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. Who's your pick to win the Cup Series race this weekend at Phoenix? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If any major news breaks later today, we'll discuss it live on the channel. If not, the next time you'll see me will probably be a little bit later in the morning, as I'll be doing the NASCAR Cup Series or news video, talking about some stuff around Katherine Legge, who announced some stuff today, some TV stuff around Fox, Connor Zilisch, Corey Heim, Hailie Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Eric Almirola, Chandler Smith, Clay Farland, all those good people who we talking about on the channel very, very soon as we head to Phoenix Raceway. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.